I still remember the sound of my own footsteps, heavy and labored, as I walked down the hallway of my school. The lockers seemed to close in around me, a never-ending tunnel of metal and laughter with me trapped at the center. I was the target of every snicker, every whispered insult, every hurtful stare. My weight had always been an issue, but it wasn't until middle school that the bullying really started to take hold. Kids would mock me in class, calling me names like whale or pig. The teachers would try to step in, but it seemed like no matter what they did, the hurtful words kept coming. I would walk home from school in tears, feeling like I was invisible and insignificant. The hardest part was the feeling of isolation. It seemed like no one understood me, like I was the only one going through this. I'd sit in the cafeteria, alone at a table, trying to ignore the whispered jokes and snickers. I'd try to focus on my schoolwork, but it was hard to concentrate when all I could think about was how I wanted to disappear. The emotional toll was immense. I started to develop serious low self-esteem and depression. I began to question whether I was worthy of love, whether I was worth anything at all. I'd look in the mirror, and instead of seeing a bright, talented young person, I'd see someone fat, ugly, and worthless. Those were the darkest days of my life. I didn't know how to escape, how to find the strength to keep going. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of hurt and humiliation with no lifeline to cling to. But something inside me refused to give up. A spark of determination, a glimmer of hope, kept me going. And it's that spark that would eventually ignite a fire of transformation, one that would change my life forever. I still remember the day I decided I'd had enough. The teasing, the stares, the constant feeling of being an outcast, it all became too much to bear. After hitting rock bottom, I knew I needed to make a change. But where to start? I had no idea what a healthy lifestyle even looked like, let alone how to achieve it. I began by setting small, achievable goals for myself. At first, it was just a short walk around the block each day. Gradually, I increased the distance and the duration until I was walking for hours at a time. The sense of accomplishment I felt with each milestone was like a breath of fresh air, filling me with a newfound confidence. As I started to notice changes in my body, I became more curious about exercise and healthy living. I devoured books and articles, watching videos and documentaries on the subject. I was fascinated by the way our bodies responded to different types of exercise and nutrition. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was taking control of my health. I started experimenting with different workouts, trying everything from yoga to weightlifting. It wasn't always easy. There were days when I felt like giving up, when my muscles ached and my motivation waned. But something inside me had shifted. I was no longer just going through the motions. I was driven by a desire to transform my body and my life. As the weeks turned into months, I began to notice a change within myself. I felt more energetic, more focused. I was sleeping better, eating better, and feeling more confident than ever before. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was living, not just existing. But little did I know, the real challenge was only just beginning. As I delved deeper into my fitness journey, I faced obstacles that threatened to derail my progress. Would I be able to overcome them, or would I fall back into my old habits? The journey ahead would be tough, but I was ready to face it head-on. I still remember the countless nights I spent crying myself to sleep, feeling like I was never going to reach my goal. The weight loss journey was far from easy, and I faced setbacks at every turn. There were times when I'd lose a few pounds, only to gain them back, and it felt like I was taking 2 steps forward but 3 steps back. It was during those dark moments that I realized the true meaning of self-doubt. I questioned whether I was cut out for this fitness thing, whether I was just deluding myself thinking I could actually achieve my goals. The negative voices in my head were relentless, and it took every ounce of willpower I had to silence them. But something inside me refused to give up. I'd come so far, and the thought of going back to my old ways was unbearable. I remembered the pain and humiliation I'd endured as an obese child, and I knew I never wanted to go back to that place. I took a deep breath and forced myself to trust the process. I celebrated every small victory, no matter how insignificant it seemed. If I managed to do a few more reps during a workout, that was a win. If I chose a healthy snack over junk food, that was a win too. Those tiny triumphs may seem insignificant now, but back then, they were the only things that kept me going. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, I began to notice changes. My energy levels increased, my mood improved, and my body started to transform before my very eyes. I still had moments of self-doubt, of course. but I'd learned to talk myself down from those ledges. I'd remind myself that every step forward, no matter how small, was a step closer to my goal. Looking back, I realized that the struggle was necessary. The setbacks and self-doubt taught me the value of perseverance and the importance of believing in myself. Without those dark moments, I wouldn't be where I am today. As I transformed, I began to notice that I was inspiring others too. People would approach me at the gym or message me online, asking for advice or sharing their own struggles. I was becoming a symbol of hope for them, proof that it's never too late to change, and that anyone can achieve their dreams with enough hard work and determination. And that realization lit a fire within me. I knew that my journey was far from over, and that the next chapter of my life would be all about sharing my passion with others and helping them achieve their own goals. Little did I know that my transformation was about to take on a whole new level of significance, one that would change my life forever. I still remember the first time someone approached me in the gym, asking for my advice on how to get started with their own weight loss journey. I was taken aback, not just because someone was actually asking me for help, but also because it made me realize that my transformation wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the impact I could have on others. As I began to share my story with those around me, I noticed a ripple effect. More and more people were coming up to me, sharing their own struggles with obesity and asking for my guidance. It was like a weight had been lifted off their shoulders, just knowing that they weren't alone in their fight. I was proud to be a part of their journey, to be a beacon of hope in a world that can often be cruel and unforgiving. I remember one girl in particular who had been struggling with her weight for years. She had tried every fad diet under the sun, but nothing seemed to stick. She was on the verge of giving up until she heard my story. She approached me after a workout, tears streaming down her face, and told me that I was her inspiration. She said that if I could do it, she could too. I took her under my wing, mentoring her through the ups and downs of weight loss. And as the weeks went by, I watched her transform before my very eyes. It was moments like those that made me realize the power of sharing my story. I wasn't just helping others, I was also healing myself. The more I spoke about my struggles, the more I was able to confront my own demons. The more I was able to let go of the pain and shame that had held me back for so long. And that's when it hit me. I wanted to create something that would allow me to reach even more people. Something that would help them transform their lives, just as I had transformed mine. The idea was still vague, but I could feel it brewing inside me. Little did I know, it would soon become the catalyst for something much bigger than myself. As I continued on my own fitness journey, I couldn't help but think about all the others out there who might be struggling just as I had. The memories of those painful school days still lingered, but I was determined to turn them into something positive. That's when the idea for my fitness app was born. I remember sitting in my small apartment, scribbling down notes and ideas in a worn notebook. I wanted to create something that would help people like me, people who didn't fit the traditional mold of what it means to be fit. I wanted to make exercise accessible, enjoyable, and most importantly, inclusive. The more I brainstormed, the more my excitement grew. I envisioned an app that would offer workouts tailored to each individual's needs and goals, with modifications and alternatives for those who were just starting out. I pictured a community feature where users could connect with one another, share their progress, and offer support. But I knew I couldn't do it alone. I needed a team of experts to help me bring this vision to life. I began to reach out to developers, designers, and personal trainers, anyone who shared my passion for fitness and my commitment to making a difference. It wasn't easy, of course. There were countless setbacks and rejections, moments when I doubted my own abilities and wondered if I was crazy to think I could make this happen. But every time I felt like giving up, I remembered those kids back in school, the ones who had laughed at me and called me names. I remembered the pain they had inflicted, and I let that fuel my determination to succeed. Slowly but surely, my team began to take shape. We worked tirelessly, pouring our hearts and souls into this app. And as it started to come together, I knew that I had created something truly special. But little did I know, the real challenge was just beginning. The journey to launch was just around the corner, and it would test my resolve in ways I never could have imagined. I'll never forget the feeling of being on the edge of something big, yet staring into the abyss of uncertainty. My fitness app, a labor of love born from the pain of being bullied for my obesity at school, was finally taking shape. But with every step forward, the doubts crept in. What if it didn't resonate with people? What if I failed to raise the funds needed to bring it to life? What if the competition ate me alive? I spent countless nights poring over business plans, researching marketing strategies, and networking with potential investors. The startup world was a maze, and I was navigating it blindfolded. Every no I received felt like a blow to my gut, every rejection a reminder that maybe I wasn't good enough. But I refused to let those voices define me. I had come too far. I remember one particularly tough meeting with a potential investor. I had spent hours perfecting my pitch, but as soon as I walked in, I knew I was in trouble. The investor's expression was skeptical, and his questions were laced with doubt. I stumbled through my answers, feeling like I was drowning in a sea of uncertainty. As I left the meeting, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. But as I walked home, something inside me shifted. I thought back to the countless hours I'd spent working on my app, the late nights and early mornings, the weekends sacrificed. I thought about the people who believed in me, who saw something in my vision that I didn't even see myself. And I realized that I couldn't let one setback, one rejection, define my journey. I would adapt, I would pivot, and I would push forward. With renewed determination, I dove headfirst into the world of marketing and funding. I learned to navigate the complexities of crowdfunding, to craft a message that resonated with people, and to build a community that believed in my vision. And slowly but surely, the pieces began to fall into place. The funding started to trickle in, the marketing strategy took shape, and the competition began to take notice. As I looked out at the landscape, I knew that the moment of truth was approaching. The app's launch was on the horizon, and I was ready. I was ready to face the challenges head-on, to adapt to whatever came my way, and to see my vision become a reality. The struggle was real, but I was more real. I was a force to be reckoned with, and I was just getting started. I woke up early, feeling like it was Christmas morning. Today was the day I had been working towards for months, the launch day of my fitness app. I had put my heart and soul into this project, pouring every ounce of my being into making sure it was perfect. As I rolled out of bed, my stomach was filled with a mix of excitement and nerves. What if people hated it? What if it was a total flop? I tried to shake off those thoughts as I got ready for the day, taking a deep breath and reminding myself of all the hard work I had put in. I had tested the app with a small group of friends and family, and the feedback had been overwhelmingly positive. But this was different. This was the real deal. This was the world seeing my creation for the first time. As I sat down at my desk, my hands were shaking slightly as I clicked the launch button. It was done. The app was live. I closed my eyes and took another deep breath, trying to calm my racing thoughts. The waiting game had begun. At first, it was crickets. I stared at my analytics dashboard, refreshing the page over and over, waiting for anyone to download the app. And then, suddenly, it happened. A single download, followed by another, and another. The numbers started to climb, and my heart started to soar. But it wasn't just the numbers that were impressive, it was the feedback. People were loving the app, sharing their own success stories, and thanking me for creating something that was truly helping them. I was overwhelmed with emotion as I read through the comments, tears of joy streaming down my face. One user wrote, "I've been struggling with my weight for years, but this app has given me the confidence to finally take control. Thank you so much for creating this." Another user shared a before and after photo, showcasing the incredible progress they had made using the app. I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment wash over me, knowing that I had made a real difference in people's lives. As the day went on, the downloads kept coming and the feedback kept pouring in. It was clear that my app was a hit, and I couldn't believe it. All those late nights, early mornings, and long hours had paid off. I had taken a risk and created something truly special, and the world was responding in a big way. I sat back in my chair, a huge smile on my face, feeling like I was on top of the world. I had done it. I had actually done it. And this was just the beginning. I still remember the day my app first went viral like it was yesterday. It started with a few posts on social media, sharing my transformation and how my app had helped me achieve my fitness goals. But then something just clicked, and before I knew it, my following was increasing exponentially. People were sharing their own transformation stories, using my app and tagging me in their posts. It was surreal to see how something I had created was making such a huge impact on people's lives. My social media notifications were blowing up, and I was getting so many messages from people who were inspired by my story and wanted to collaborate with me. It was crazy to think that just a few years ago, I was the kid being bullied at school, and now I was becoming a fitness influencer. As my following continued to grow, I started to collaborate with other influencers and brands in the industry. We would create content together, promoting each other's products and services. It was amazing to see how these partnerships were benefiting both parties, helping us reach a wider audience and build our brands. I remember getting my first major collaboration offer from a popular fitness brand. They wanted me to promote their new line of workout gear, and in return, they would give me a percentage of the sales generated through my unique referral link. It was a dream come true to see my face on their ads and to know that I was helping them sell their products. But what really caught me off guard was when I started to get recognized in public. People would come up to me and ask for selfies or just to chat about fitness and my app. It was crazy to think that I had become a celebrity in the fitness world, and it was all because of my app. As the app's popularity continued to soar, I started to receive offers from investors who wanted to buy my app. But I was hesitant to sell, knowing that I had built something truly special. I wanted to make sure that whoever bought my app would continue to build on my vision, helping people achieve their fitness goals and spreading a positive message. But then, something unexpected happened. I received a call from a real estate agent, informing me that the school campus where I had spent so many painful years was up for sale. The opportunity to buy the entire campus had arisen, and I was the first person they thought of. I couldn't believe it. The place where I had been bullied and belittled was now within my reach, and I had the chance to turn it into something truly special. As I stood before the imposing structure that had once been the epicenter of my deepest pain and struggle, I felt a unique sense of nostalgia wash over me. The same hallways where I had been mercilessly taunted for my weight, the same classrooms where I had felt so lost and alone, were now a testament to my triumph. With a stroke of a pen, I became the owner of the entire campus, the very place that had witnessed my darkest moments. A mix of emotions swirled within me: pride, vindication, but most of all, a profound sense of closure. I thought back to those dreaded days when merely walking down the corridor felt like an insurmountable challenge. Every cruel word, every heartless laughter, every excruciating moment of isolation now seemed to belong to someone else's narrative, someone I used to be but was no longer. Buying the school campus wasn't just about reclaiming a part of my past. It was about proving to myself and everyone else that those moments of desperation and despair hadn't defined me. They had, in fact, fueled the fire within me, pushing me towards the unbelievable feats I had achieved. I remembered the creation of my fitness app, the relentless pursuit of perfection, the unwavering dedication to my craft. Each late night spent coding, each early morning spent exercising, had led me to this very moment. The feeling of having come full circle, from the victim of relentless bullying to the owner of the very place where it had all transpired, was indescribable. I walked through the deserted hallways, the emptiness a stark contrast to the chaos that once reigned. My footsteps echoed through the silence, a reminder that the only way to silence the critics, both within and outside, was through perseverance and determination. But with this monumental achievement, I was faced with a new question: what next? The campus, once a symbol of my darkness, could now be transformed into something that inspires light and hope for others. I knew I had a responsibility, not just to myself, but to every person who had ever felt like I did. As I stood at the threshold of this new chapter in my life, I realized that my journey was far from over. The full circle wasn't just about reaching back to my past, but also about creating a ripple effect that would move forward, impacting lives for years to come. I had the means, I had the will, and most importantly, I had a vision. The real question now was, how far would I take it? As I look back on the incredible journey that has brought me to this moment, I am filled with a sense of pride, accomplishment, and gratitude. The little boy who was once bullied for his weight has grown into a man who has not only overcome his own struggles, but has also made a profound impact on the lives of countless others. As I stand on the grounds of my alma mater, now the proud owner of the entire campus, I am filled with a sense of purpose and responsibility. I think back to the countless hours I spent walking these halls, feeling like an outcast, feeling like I didn't belong. But now I see a future filled with endless possibilities. My plan is to renovate this campus, to transform it into a hub for fitness and wellness. I envision state-of-the-art facilities, where people of all ages and backgrounds can come to learn, grow, and thrive. I see a place where kids can come to discover their passions, to develop healthy habits, and to build confidence that will last a lifetime. I also see a place where adults can come to rediscover themselves, to rekindle their love for fitness, and to find a sense of community and belonging. I see a place where people can come together to support one another and to celebrate each other's successes. As I look to the future, I am filled with hope and optimism. I know that this journey will not be easy, that there will be challenges and setbacks along the way. But I also know that I am not alone. I have an incredible team of people who share my vision, who share my passion, and who are committed to helping me make this dream a reality. Together, we will create something truly special. We will create a place that will inspire, motivate, and empower people to be their best selves. We will create a place that will make a lasting impact on this community and on the world at large. As I close this chapter of my life, I am filled with a sense of excitement and anticipation. I know that the future is bright, that the best is yet to come. And I know that I will always be grateful for the incredible journey that has brought me to this moment.